Hi Year 1. In our science this week, we're going to be continuing our learning about forces. And this week, we are going to be investigating the power of the wind. The wind is the natural movement of air just above the Earth's surface. Let's read together to find out more. What is the wind? We can't see the wind, but we can feel it when it blows against our skin or ruffles our hair. When it blows very hard, we can hear it making a whistling sound through windows and under doors. Have you ever heard that before? Wind blows washing dry by shaking out drops of water. Dampness from the washing disappears into the air. But what is the wind? When land is warmed by the sun, the air above it gets warmer too. The warm air rises and cooler air blows in to take its place. The reason why the warm air rises above the cool air is because the warm air is lighter, so it rises up above the heavier, colder air. And the moving air is wind. The wind makes clouds race across the sky. It makes patterns of ripples on water and in fields of tall grass or crops. It blows trees about, making their leaves rustle and their branches creak. Have you heard that before and seen that before in trees? A gentle wind is called a breeze. Sometimes it is hard to walk in a strong wind. Hats blow away and umbrellas turn inside out. Flags flutter in the wind. The arrow on a weather vane spins round to show which way the wind is blowing. A south wind blows from the south. Wind power. Have you ever held a pin windmill? One like this. It's been a windy day. What do you think might happen? Well, you can create your own wind power by blowing. Wow. The wind makes the pin windmill spin round and round. People have always used the power of wind. Sailors used the wind to blow their ships along. Windmills were used to grind grain and pump water out of wet land. The wind turns the sails of the windmill to work the machinery inside. So that's the wind power in action. Modern windmills, you may have seen lots of these when you've been driving around. Where I live, out at the sea, you can see all the wind farms out there. I can actually see them from my house. Modern windmills, called wind turbines, are used to make electricity. They are grouped on wind farms in windy places. There's an interesting fact here. The wind is a form of energy that will never run out. Enjoying windy weather. Being outside on a windy day can be exciting and fill us full of energy. It can also make us high as kites. That's a phrase you've probably heard your parents and us teachers say to you. Flying a kite in an open space can be lots of fun, and you can see how the wind can send it soaring and diving in the sky. Have you ever had a go at flying a kite? There are lots of other ways to enjoy windy weather. Sail a boat across the water as the wind fills its sails. Windsurf across the water on a surfboard. Fly in a hot air balloon, or watch as the wind carries the balloon across the sky. Hot air balloons rise because the air inside them is lighter than the air outside. So that's like the idea of wind we talked about, didn't we? That warm air that is warm from the earth rises because it's lighter than the cool air already in the sky. And that's what happens with the hot air inside the hot air balloon. And it says here that hot air balloons can only fly when the wind is gentle. Winter and summer winds. Some winds are gentle, others blow hard. Winter winds can blow snow into a blizzard, and snowstorms can make it difficult to see. The wind makes a cold day feel colder. We call this wind chill. Clothes keep out the wind and trap warm air around the body. That's why parents will tell you to wrap up warm, won't they? Summer breezes may cool hot sunny days. At the seaside, people sometimes sit behind windbreaks if the breeze is strong. Wind, plants and animals. The wind spreads the seeds of plants and trees. The seeds are very light, so they can be carried a long way. And look here, we've got a very unusual mushroom called the puffball mushroom, and it puffs out clouds of spores when the wind blows against it. And here's another interesting wind fact. Dandelion seeds, the ones that dandelion crops you can blow, can be carried up to 10 kilometres by the wind. That's a very long way. Some seeds have wings that act like tiny helicopters. Wow. Others float like parachutes. A bird's feathers help it glide in the wind. Steady winds help migrating birds to fly thousands of kilometres. So when birds fly to a different country to feed or to have their babies, they have to follow the winds. Rabbits sniff the air while they are feeding. The wind can carry the scent of a predator and warn the rabbits that danger is near. That reminds me of chapter 2 of Fantastic Mr. Fox that we read last week. Do you remember? Where he stands in the direction the wind blows against him so he could smell the farmers if they were nearby. Clever, Fantastic Mr. Fox. Stormy weathers. In stormy weather, the wind blows very hard and heavy rain falls. Trees can be blown down, crushing cars and blocking roads. Power lines can be broken, leaving homes without heat and light. The strongest wind in the world is called a hurricane. That's another good wind fact, isn't it? Stormy winds blow chimneys and roof tiles off houses. Tornadoes are the fastest winds in the world. Now, something that tells us the difference between a tornado and a hurricane is tornadoes happen very quickly, whereas hurricanes can last for days at a time. So tornadoes can spin and swirl over land at more than 300 kilometres per hour, which is very, very fast. Gales blow the sea into huge waves that can flood the land. Ferries and fishing boats have to stay in the harbour, so they have to keep safe and protected from that strong wind. Measuring the wind. Now this is interesting because this is what you're going to be having a go at this week in your science. Weather forecasters take information about the wind from weather balloons and from ships and aircraft. They use the information to make weather maps and weather forecasts. This instrument is an anemometer. The top spins around to show how fast the wind is blowing. And here's another wind fact here. Wind blows rain clouds around the world and brings our weather. Satellites, fly around the Earth and collect information about the weather. They send pictures back to Earth. On a weather map, this sign here, the 16, shows that the wind is blowing from the south at 16 kilometres per hour. Wow, that explains what those weather symbols can mean. Sailors, farmers and aircraft pilots all use weather forecasts. Very important, isn't it, for either their journey they're going on or taking people on, or for their crops or their animals, making sure the conditions are right for them. They need to know when it's going to be windy. Windsocks at airports and seaports show which way and how fast the wind is blowing. So I have here, a bit like a windsock here. This is one that you'd have in your garden. So you could show here that when the wind was blowing, you'd be able to see which direction, because you'd be able to see where the ribbons would be moving. Which direction they were moving in would tell you where the wind was coming from. So with instruments like this, equipment like our windsock, our windmill, and also, if you're able to find some, with bubbles. These are different ways that we can use to explore, investigate the wind and record its effects. So enjoy exploring the wind power this week. We look forward to hearing about how you got on. Bye-bye.